Right. Let's dive into one of the biggest, most radical transformations happening in Australia right now. We're talking about a complete reinvention of our energy grid. And honestly, it's a change so massive, it's kind of hard to get your head around. Okay, let's just start with this number because it's at the absolute heart of the issue. 1 million. Researchers from the CSIRO estimate that the complexity of our energy grid is about to increase by a factor of 1 million. No, that's not a typo. Not double, not 100 times, 1 million times. And that right there is the central question for this whole explainer. I mean, when the system that literally powers our entire country changes on that kind of scale, how on earth do you manage it? How do you keep the lights on without everything just falling apart? It is a monumental challenge. So, to even begin to understand the solution, we first have to really get a grip on the problem. And the problem isn't just about new tech. It's about an old way of thinking that has pushed our grid right to its breaking point. The source material for this uses a really powerful phrase. It says the big energy companies and the regulators, they're all trapped in the old construct. What that means is they're stuck seeing the world through this outdated lens of just physical stuff. Poles, wires, and massive centralized power stations. And that old model, well, it just doesn't work anymore. It can't. It was built for a simple, one-way flow of power, right? From a few huge generators out to millions of homes that just consumed it. It was never, ever designed for a world with rooftop solar, electric cars, and smart appliances all talking to the grid at the same time. But out of this challenge, a really exciting new vision is emerging. It's being called the consumer's grid, and it represents a complete paradigm shift in how we even think about electricity. And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. We're moving from a system that's managed from the top down to one based on decentralized local decisions, from being all about supply to being focused on you, the consumer. And maybe most important of all, we're shifting focus from just physical infrastructure to data and digital systems. This is probably the absolute best way to think about this change. The old grid was like an old landline phone network, one central exchange connecting every single call. The new grid, well, it's like the internet, a massive distributed network where intelligence and decision-making happen everywhere, right out at the edge, inside our homes and businesses. So if the future isn't just about bigger poles and thicker wires, what's it all about? The answer is actually pretty simple, but it's also revolutionary. The key to managing this million-fold increase in complexity is data. And this is the core idea. It's called decentralized decision-making. Basically, it means using the data generated by your solar panels, your EV charger, your smart aircon to make automated, split-second decisions right where you are. Your home stops being a passive user and becomes an active, intelligent participant in the grid. And here's a look at how that actually works. So first, your devices, your solar, your battery, they generate data. Second, an automated decision is made right there, on the spot. Maybe your battery decides to store that solar power instead of exporting it. Third, that info flows back up the chain to help coordinate the wider grid. And finally, you've got system-wide rules that act like guardrails just to keep everything stable and secure for all of us. Okay, but here's the twist. While data is the solution to managing all this new complexity, it also opens up a total Pandora's box of new problems. Things we have never, ever had to think about in the energy world before. I mean, just think about it. For 100 years, people made the big decisions. Now we're talking about handing over real-time control to automated, data-driven systems, and the second you put algorithms in charge, you have to start asking a completely different set of questions. Questions like these, all of a sudden, we have to worry about the privacy of your personal energy data, the cybersecurity of the entire grid. Who actually owns the data your house generates? How do we make sure all these different systems from different companies can even talk to each other? And maybe the big one, who's accountable when an automated decision goes wrong? See, this completely changes who's responsible for what. That responsibility is no longer sitting with one central authority. It's distributed across the entire system, every single stakeholder. You, your energy provider, the network operators, we all become data generators, data consumers, and data archivists. And this is exactly why the source material for this whole explainer was even created in the first place. When you're faced with this much complexity and all these new dilemmas, you can't just stumble into the future and hope for the best. You need a plan. You need a blueprint. And that's the big solution being proposed, something called a conceptual data model. Now, it's not a piece of software or an app. Think of it more like a high-level architecture, a shared rulebook that defines how data is going to be created, used, stored, and protected across the entire ecosystem. It's the blueprint everyone can build from.
So this model is designed so that every single participant, from the huge operators and generators, all the way down to individual consumers like you and me, can understand what their role is, what their responsibilities are, and how they connect with everybody else. It's really about creating a common language for our new data-driven energy future.
And that kind of leaves us with a final, much bigger question, doesn't it? We've been talking about the power grid here, but really, this applies to, well, everything. As our entire society becomes more automated, more data-driven, the question of who gets to write the rules and what values get baked into those rules becomes one of the most important questions of our time.